Good morning, everyone, from San Francisco, California here, and it's evening for some of you in the UK, as well as I guess midnight for a lot of you in Australia. But I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Matthew Rowett, and I'm one of the global directors here at CRCC Asia. Today, all we really are doing is going through our scholarship program and giving you tips on how to apply to the scholarship, and of course, explaining what the scholarships can be used for. Today, what we're going to start with doing is, of course, talking about the application process. So we do have over 20,000 US dollars in funding available for this year's scholarship, and that does include full program tuition for some programs, as well as airfare provided by our partners at STA Travel. In terms of the scholarship itself, the application process is very free and very easy. All you would have to do is apply at crccasia.com/global-scholarship, and this application probably takes only 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the level of detail you want to go in when you're writing your short answer questions. What we look for when students are applying to this scholarship is that we generally want to increase mobility of students who have never studied abroad before. So if you've been to China or if you've been to one of our programs before, we would generally weigh other people's applications a little bit heavier than yours if we are trying to really promote more people to go abroad and, of course, more people to go on our programs in China. We are also looking for students that would add diversity to our programs. What that means for us is not just diversity racially or ethnically, but rather diversity in thought and diversity in what you would bring to the table. Our programs traditionally are very diverse in the sense that most of our programs have students from the US, UK, Australia, Italy, Spain, etc. So there's students of multiple nationalities on our programs at one given time. But we're really thinking of students who are going to demonstrate an extra level of motivation for this program, as well as an extra level of interest in not only China, but traveling the world. We also, of course, do weigh in academic excellence. The cutoff for this scholarship is 2.7 GPA and higher. We do require students to demonstrate that they don't just have a strong sense of what they want to be doing, but also a strong sense of how they're going to achieve that. So academics are going to be weighed when you do apply for this scholarship. But if you do have below a 2.7 GPA, that's quite all right. Please just apply anyway. And then, of course, if you are strong in other aspects, we can continue to actually review your application. Students also should have a strong extracurricular presence. Most of our programs do require students to have a very well thought out resume. And if you do not have one of those, this is something that you should work on prior to applying to our scholarship program. But we do want this resume not only to reflect any past work experiences that you've had, but also any on-campus activities that you may be involved in. So as an example of that, if you're heavily involved in a sports team, Division I, Division II, or Division III sports team that demonstrates leadership, that's something we look for. If you're involved in a finance club at your school, these are all things that factor into our decisions as well, just to make us sure that you're active in your community, which is something that we really want to have happen when you're over in China with the rest of our students. And then lastly, we do require that the student demonstrates a commitment to professionalism. This means that in their scholarship application, we do require 2 short answer questions. And these short answer questions generally are around what your interest is in China, and then, of course, what you hope to gain from this program. These short answer questions should be well thought out. They don't have to be too long. 1 or 2 paragraphs for each will suffice. But they do have to show really who you are. And this segues very nicely into some tips for the application, which we've seen in the past. I think the most effective applications for the scholarship in the past have been really personal, in the sense that we want to know how this scholarship and how this trip to not only China, but to the study abroad program will impact your life. This also should factor into your career goals. And even if you don't have a clear career goal in mind, that's perfectly okay. You can always just say, this opportunity or this internship will help me nail down my career goals in the future because I really want to understand what the field of marketing is. We want you to represent not only who you are, but also who you wish to become, of course, because this is a professional development program. This means that we will be asking you to really reflect on this program when you are in China, and then, of course, when you come back from the program itself. And this does mean that you do have to get yourself familiar with CRCC Asia's 5 learning outcomes. And we'll go through that a little bit today to really give you a sense of what we're looking for in an application, hitting these 5 main points. To give you some background on CRCC Asia itself, we've been running programs for over 10 years now. Our most popular programs are in Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen. This year, we are also opening a UK-based internship program, which scholarships can apply for, and I can tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. But in terms of CRCC Asia, we are the largest provider of internships in China. So our internship programs are all professional development programs in the sense that you'll come away from this experience not only with some internship experience, but also with some valuable study abroad experience. So here we can go through why internships are important. Figure-wise, around 60% of graduating seniors have had around 1 or 2 professional development internships prior to graduating. These are all usually unpaid internships, and this is something that has only been changing in the recent 5 or 6 years or so. Internships right now are becoming basically synonymous to how students can make themselves more employable after graduation. And universities worldwide are recognizing this trend. So that means that your study abroad office, in addition to providing the study abroad, the traditional study abroad type of opportunities that study abroad has provided, also should now have a complete suite of internships that they can advise you on. And these are usually international internships in countries like we run in, like China. Internships are important, of course, for a whole myriad of reasons. Of course, there's integration, where you get cultural firsthand experience working with local people. And we can talk a little bit how that factors into what we call cultural agility as one of our learning objectives. We also have practical skills, which are hands-on international experience. And of course, this is work experience to make you more prepared for an international and increasingly globalized workforce. And then, of course, professional development. And this is really what we stress on these programs. You gain an understanding of office etiquette, learning how to handle responsibility, and then, of course, trying out theories and techniques that you've learned in courses and in class in real-world applications. So this is a great way to really get everything squared away here. Now, for the China internship program, the question is, why China? China, as you all probably know, is one of the most important nations that we are contending with as an entire world right now. China is the industry leader in science and technology. I was actually just in Shenzhen this past summer, which is home to the Beijing Genomics Institute, which is the #1 sequencer of DNA genomes in the world. So it's a genome sequencing lab that does it faster and better than anyone else in the world. A lot of you probably did not know that, but this is something that we stress again and again. The China of the past still exists, but China in the past 10 years has changed drastically. Currently, China is the world's largest trading power. It has brought over 800 million people in the past 15 years out of poverty, which is an incredible feat for any developing nation. And this is mostly due to the increase of world trade. So China right now manufactures the majority of global goods, with factory jobs for millions and millions in not only Guangdong province, but all of the manufacturing provinces in China. China currently also has the largest foreign currency reserves in the world, and the renminbi is actually growing in strength and has just been actually added as a reserve currency. China now is going to be the world's third largest investor, and in 2011 created more than 10 million new urban jobs. So I would like to note that our programs do focus on getting students into these urban areas. Our programs do partner with over 600 host companies in Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, and we can go a little bit more into that when I talk a little bit about the locations. China also has a global focus. There's, of course, the fastest growing economy in the world is in China. We have the 2008 Olympics, and then, of course, the 2022 Olympics. And the 100,000 Strong Initiative, which is actually a US-based initiative started in 2010 to send US students to China. Now it's the Million Strong Initiative, and this is replicated around the world. The UK has the Generation UK program, which is run through CRCC Asia. So there are scholarships available in the UK from the British government trying to increase student mobility to China. Australia has something similar as well. Now, to go through our 3 locations, we do have an internship available in Beijing. These internships range from everything from legal studies to green technology to green infrastructure and policy. There are a myriad of industries that we can place you in. We do work in over 14 different sectors, but Beijing is the traditional center of government, of course, for China. So this means that there are a lot of nonprofits and NGOs, as well as some strong legal placements in Beijing. But it is a strong city to work in. The pollution, actually, as you can see there, this is actually a picture taken by one of our students. The pollution is bad sometimes, and other times it is completely clear. So it really depends on when you go to Beijing. Shanghai, of course, is the world's basically party capital of the world. It is a great place to be for nightlife, but it's also one of the biggest financial centers in the world. This means that in Shanghai, we have a lot of established expats, and most likely the internships that you will be working for in Shanghai are going to be internships with companies that are very familiar with hosting international students, and then companies that are also familiar with working with internationally based companies as well. So all of our companies in Shanghai generally do have a more international lean. This brings us to our last city in China, which is Shenzhen. Shenzhen is possibly one of the fastest growing cities in China. It is a fast growing urban center. It started as a city of only around 300,000 people north of Hong Kong. And then in the late 1980s, in 1989, Deng Xiaoping, the late Chinese leader, actually transformed Shenzhen into one of the first special economic zones. And what this meant is that it was basically a way to open free market capitalism in China in a socialist economy. And because of that, it grew to a city of around 17 million people. To give you some context, San Francisco, California, right here is around 365,000 people on the peninsula itself. Hong Kong in general is only 7.2 million people. So Shenzhen is one of the largest cities that is rapidly growing in China, and it is the center of the technological revolution in China and is the center for large multinational companies looking to open offices in China as well. Now, to give you some more insight into our programs, and these are going to be very essential when you're applying to these scholarships, because we really want to stress all of these learning objectives from the very beginning. So the question that I will be asking, and the question that we generally ask our students and our admissions advisors are trained to ask our students are, of course, how will this program make you more employable? We want you to self-reflect on how an internship in China or an international internship in general will increase your employability. We also have cultural agility, China knowledge, sector-specific knowledge, and what we call global guanxi. And guanxi is a term for interpersonal relationships. To go more into depth, one of our missions is that a professional internship in China will allow students to build international career capital. Now, this phrase, international career capital, is something that really means an investment into your future, if that makes sense. International career capital is a way for you to not just get something on your resume, but also learn how to present yourself and present a narrative about yourself surrounding these China internship programs. And of course, employability is one of our keys because it does help fulfill the domestic and global employment need for students like yourself who might be interested in different cultural perspectives and, of course, gaining that professional work experience. So our programs were founded initially to provide young professionals with an insight into Chinese business acumen, which really has been recognized by employers as an essential skill in today's increasingly globalized world. What that means is that there are plenty of Chinese students and Chinese nationals who fundamentally understand how to do business and how business is operated in the US, the UK, and Australia. But we really saw a need to get Westerners interested in China and also gain that fundamental understanding of how basically China interacts with the world and how Chinese business acumen functions. Secondly, our second learning objective is cultural agility. Employers worldwide have expressed a need for cultural agility, and CRCC Asia's programs are proven to prepare students for this global need. So 90% of CRCC Asia's programs graduates are employed within 3 months of their graduation after graduating from our program within their given field. So that means that if you wanted to start an internship in finance, you could do so, and then you may be employed in the finance field afterwards. China knowledge, we do have a broad range of different toolkits that can increase your knowledge in China. We also do stress sector-specific knowledge, which means that you will be learning not just about China in general, but also about your own specific sector. So if you're an engineer looking for engineering experience, this is a great way for you to get something on your resume and really understand how the Chinese engineering world differs from the Western one. Last but not least, we do have the learning objective of global guanxi. Guanxi is the term for interpersonal and business relationships, and it is a fundamental principle of Chinese society. Students will be coached through the different cultural customs of establishing and maintaining these personal and professional relationships, and we do coach students through this on the program. So looking back at all of these learning objectives, this is something that we really want you to try to incorporate in your application. So if we go back all the way here to our tips and tricks for the application, represent not only who you are, but who you wish to become through these 5 learning outcomes. How do you think this program will make you more culturally agile? How do you think this program will make you more employable? Why do you see the need for China knowledge? Why do you see the need to gain sector-specific knowledge? And what do you think you can gain with global guanxi in general? All right, and skipping right ahead here, let's talk a little bit about what's included in these programs. So we do guarantee an internship in that sector of your choice. We do have an English-speaking supervisor. All of our supervisors are trained to meet the highest standards of a professional internship. So that means that if you do have issues with your supervisors, we are on call 24/7 to really make sure that the supervisor is providing you with actual project-based work. That being said, you will still be an intern, so you do have to be very respectful in all situations. We also do support the visa service, the pre-departure assistance, airport pickup, international hotel accommodation, which means you will have your own service department. Most likely you'll be sharing a kitchen and bathroom with another CRCC Asia intern, but most likely you will have your own private bedroom. And then of course, in the city of Shenzhen, you will have your own private accommodations. Induction day, which means that we will invite you to speak and share your experience so far with some of our other participants, just to get everyone on the same page and let everyone get to know you a little bit better. We will also be providing a professional development toolkit, which goes really into these 5 learning objectives that we just mentioned. In terms of the sectors, we do have over 14 different sectors. And honestly, if there is something that you're interested in that is not advertised on our website, most likely we have a company that can match your interests. For example, last year we had a student that was interested in sports and sports marketing. And we have a company called the Mailman Group in Shanghai, which works with the NFL and the NBA to really gain more to gain more basically fans in China. So there's plenty of different sectors and opportunities. Our most popular, of course, being business, finance and accounting, marketing, PR, and advertising. But our fastest growing is actually going to be in pharmaceuticals and healthcare, mostly in the biotech industries. And then, of course, information technology, as well as engineering. Your workspace, you will be provided with a desk. You will be required to work 9 to 5. So this is a full-time internship position. But then, of course, our host company supervisors are coached on how to really make you get the best time out of your experience. So you're not going to be getting coffee, or you're not going to be just doing editing or anything like that, unless that's what you want to be doing. But this is a way for you to work on a project throughout your entire experience. To give you a brief overview of what we also provide, we do provide airport pickup service, serviced accommodations, the induction day, host company drop-off day, Mandarin classes on a weekly basis, China business seminars where we invite industry professionals to speak a little bit about their experience working and living in China, social and cultural events including calligraphy classes, dumpling making classes, kung fu lessons, KTV, etc. And then also a community outreach day. So the last thing I wanted to mention is that CRCC has recently opened a Manchester internship program, and this scholarship is actually going to be available to go to the UK on the Manchester internship program. So we are offering half tuition for a lot of these scholarships, as well as full program rides, as well as a coding and digital marketing course through our partners at BSD Academy, and then of course free airfare through STA Travel. So if you apply to the scholarship, remember these tips and tricks. Please make it personal. Please represent, who you wish to become, and then of course remember the learning outcomes. Thank you guys for attending this webinar. If you do have any further questions, feel free to email us at www.crccasia.com and use the chat function there. Or alternatively, you can email our regional offices at San Francisco at crccasia.com. And then, of course, London at crccasia.com and Sydney at crccasia.com. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.